Hello and welcome back to the channel. This week is week 8. We're going to be following the Greatest London Flat, which will be used this week in the Zwift Racing League. Let's get into the footage. You can see here I'm starting at the start-finish pens. You can ride this course regularly. It just doesn't actually start you at the start-finish pens. It starts you much closer to the actual start-finish lap of the course. If you're riding this in an event, though, you're going to have a long 7-kilometer lead-in, which, kind of makes me question whether that's a lead-in or just where they should be counting as the start of the race. But I digress. Most of this course, as the name suggests, is going to be very flat. Going to stay most of the time between about -1 and +1, but there are regular occurrences of rollers that will get between 4 to 5%, or -4, -5%, and on the rare occasion it'll exceed that. I understand that the Zwift Racing League this week is a team time trial. I'll have a different video about team time trialing and pacing for that. We're going to look at the course just as a course. And as such, this point right here is the first section I would say is a good place for attacking. You can sprint into the bottom of that little climb. You see it's about 5 to 4%, levels off, and then you'll have a bit of a descent here. If you can attack hard into the bottom of that climb, you can get good separation as you come over it. And whatever group you have together by the time you come through that descent will usually be able to stay together and get a good breakaway effort going. And at the very least, you can drop large portions of the pack normally, just coming up over that descent fast and separating out the group, stringing it out. That elastic band will snap, and you'll get a lot of tiny groups and breakups throughout the course. As we get onto the red road, it means that we are getting close to the start-finish banner. Start-finish banner is the only banner on this course. And you'll see that we will start the sprint relatively shortly. Make that left-hand turn, we can see the banner, and we start the sprint. The sprint's pretty short, it's about 150, 200 meters. So sprinting as soon as you're over the counter is definitely doable. I would still wait until you're a couple meters further in, just so that you can get some of the draft benefit and aren't putting out as much energy early on. However, being that that's one of the few places that the speed will pick up, it's also a good idea to do a counterattack through there and try to drop any of the sprinters that go a little too hard through that sprint banner, and hopefully they aren't able to catch back on, which means that you won't have to compete with them for the final sprint at the end of the course. Now again, as the name suggests, it's going to be super flat, so you're going to want a very aero bike. I would say the Tron bike is probably the best option for this course because there is a little more rolling terrain than most of the flat courses. However, the Trek Madon, the Specialized Venge, or the Alley Sprint if you're at lower levels are going to be your best options for this course because they're very aero, and you can partner those with deep section wheels and get a really good aero speed going because the weight won't matter as much on this course. And you see here that we're going to start getting some of that lovely London rain because, what's a ride in London without rain? As you probably noticed, as you make your way through this course, there's not going to be a lot of options for breakaway efforts. As I said, going through the start-finish banner is going to be a good place, or coming up over that first little climb. However, because most of it's so flat, once you are able to draw those breakaways back, as you're making the catch, is a good time to try to get another breakaway as some of the group will let up. The people in the breakaway, they've been out there for a while, they're tired. As they're being caught, they'll generally let up and try to get into the group and draft more. So that's a good way to make a place for a breakaway effort to happen. It will be significantly harder to get the separation from the group than it would be if you're going over a climb or through one of those sprint banners. But it will be easier than just trying to choose a spot and on a flat road and just kind of ride the group off your wheel. If you can wait though, you will make your way over the bridge on the right hand side here. And if you make an attack into the bottom of the bridge, you'll see it hits 5%. And with the descent coming down the other end, you can really string it out. Get into this tunnel here, you're at negative 15% for a couple seconds. You can really string out the group and get some separation coming over the bridge. And with those descents and the turns that you get going through that section, you can really break up the group and get another breakaway opportunity there. Now you'll see that we make our way out towards Box Hill. We're not going to actually go up Box Hill despite technically hitting the start of the KOM banner. Instead, you're going to ride directly into Richmond Park. I'm going to go down a little descent point and ride through the rest of the park. The park is similarly flat to the rest of the course. You will hit a little bit of a longer uphill drag coming up, which we're on now, which will stay about 3 to 4% for a pretty significant amount of time as you make your way out of the park. This is again a good place to try to break up the group, get away. A good place to put in efforts and make up some time. It's a long, slow drag through that section though. So while it can be hard, you can, if you string out the group, eventually they will start falling off. And then you'll get into this descent. Now this descent is steep enough that you can super tuck down it. You can see I'm over 60 kilometers per hour and I'm riding by myself. And then you're going to get onto the boards again. And I would say just try to keep your power up, but more importantly, keep your speed level coming through those boards. And on that really steep climb coming out of the subway, it's important to be in the right gear before you hit it, because it's not really long, it's like 100 meters. Because of how steep the gradient is, around 15%, you can get a lot of separation coming through there, so you'll regularly see people make attacks on there. And you might not break away on that climb, but you'll definitely, if you're not able to keep up with the group you're in, and you get dropped going up that climb, you'll have a really difficult time getting back onto your group. Now you can see we're back into the section that was part of the 7-kilometer lead-in again. And we're just going to go through the kind of rolling terrain along the riverside. The descending points along here, it is nice to kind of rest your legs a little bit after the hard efforts getting out of the subway and back into town. So through here, particularly if you're in a breakaway or doing a TT, I would just aim for a target speed and maintain that speed and allow your power to fluctuate more freely, because as long as you can maintain that speed, then you're hitting your target and should be able to keep away. This is the climb at the beginning of the course that we saw. That's a good place to launch attacks. If you're coming into the end of the race with a group, it is still a really good place to launch an attack. You can try to get more separation, drop more people off. If you're a climber, you're going to want to separate any sprinters as you come over that climb, because that is the last real opportunity you're going to have, as it is super flat the rest of the way to the finish. And if you're a climber, you're probably not going to want to be sprinting against a pure sprinter when you come to that finish line. You can see now we're back onto the red pavement. We're getting real close to the end of this course. We're going to hit the turnaround up here. And then it's just the left-hand turn. Again, I would say it's really important to have your sprint point picked out. So that is where the timer starts. We come into the finish here. A good place to start sprinting is as the barriers appear on the left-hand side, but it really is a personal preference thing. It's up to you where you want to start your sprint. That's the end of the course. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, give the video a like. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down below. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any more about recons. Have a wonderful weekend, and good luck in your races.